Hello! Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. Our next guest is the incredible star of the new AMC show, Dietland. Now, the story of how she got this part is so cool, and I can't wait for her to tell all of you about it. If I tell you, it's gonna be a waste. We need to hear it from her. She's the star of this show, Dietland. Her name is Joy Nash. Let's take a look at her in action.
We're told that desirability can be earned through hard work, self-control, and dieting.
Could you just lower your voice?
Women who shrink their bodies to the size of adolescents and ornament them with enormous breasts and crippling shoes will be rewarded with every success.
You know, I'm not doing this to get laid.
Then why do you want to be thin?
Wanting to be attractive isn't oppression, okay? It's primal. Women and men have been adorning themselves since the dawn of time.
We are not talking about landing a mate on the savannah, Plum. What you want is society at large, excuse the pun, to deem you bangable. You want to have good looks to be considered a valuable commodity. That's what you want.
Enough.
She's 12 years old.
Sorry, excuse us.
Oh, okay. But it's all right for your baby to wear makeup and shorts tight enough where I can see her moose knuckle?
Hey, enough! Stop it!
Do not go gently into that good night, darling. You have choices.
Everybody, please put your hands together for the wonderful Joy Nash.
Thanks, everybody.
Joy, thanks so much for being here. Congratulations on Dietland.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, please. The honor's all mine. You're so wonderful on the show. Let's talk about from the beginning how you got this, because we had Julian and Margulies here, and she said, and I didn't know this, that you sought out this role, that you went after the producers of this show to get an audition or to get cast on the show. So how did it go?
Yeah, I saw the breakdown and I went to the casting office and I handed them my headshot.
Now, let's be honest, for actors out there, like, don't do this that often. It's a rarity that this works out.
Yeah. But I mean, I didn't have any choice, really. Like, nobody was paying attention to me. I don't have an uncle who could make a phone call or whatever. You know, I had to stand up and get counted. Yeah.
So you went to the casting office?
Yeah, I saw the breakdown and I went there and it turned out to be a UPS mailbox the first time.
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
That's how they make sure people don't show up at the door.
It's true, but they weren't counting on my tenacity because I did some more Googling. I found a second address and I went there and knocked on the door and it opened and I knew the girl on the other side. I'd met her at a party like 4 years before. And she was like, "Oh, Joy, you might be good for this." I was like, "That's what I thought. Here's my headshot." Wow. And yeah, so she's like, "Okay, thanks. Have you read the book?" And I said, "No." And she's like, "You really should." So I drove straight to the library and I read it that evening, and it was like nothing I'd ever read before. Like, it blew my mind. And I knew there was no way that I could get the lead because I'd been on TV for 5 minutes. But I thought at the very least I have to audition for it and maybe somebody will see me and write me a teeny part, maybe. So I decided that I was gonna make a tape and I went online and I found the sides, like the audition materials. Downloaded them, I started getting ready.
Wait, hold on, let's go back for a second. You went online and you found the sides?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not hard to do, showfax.com. Everything that's casting that's like the materials that's what they use.
There's a casting director watching this right now, but like, shut up, stop telling people
Sorry,
this.
everyone, I know. Well, but whatever,
Oh,
maybe
great.
it'll help them turn over one more rock and find a good actor. I don't know. So I get the audition materials and I text that girl and I say, "I know I'm not gonna get an audition, so I'm gonna make you a tape. What's my deadline?" And she's like, "You're definitely getting a slot." I thought, okay. She's like, "I don't have the information. It'll probably be Friday. If not, then Monday." I say, okay. So I memorize everything. I practice with all my friends. I'm ready. Thursday night at midnight, I still haven't heard anything. So I figure, obviously, it's not tomorrow, except that it's tomorrow. And sure enough, Friday morning at 8:20, I get a text. "Joy, you've got an audition at noon. 16 pages. Good luck." But those were the 16 pages that I'd gotten, 3 days before. So I was ready.
For the most part, memorized.
Yeah.
And we're ready to go.
All I had to do was pick out my outfit.
So you show up and you audition, and did you have multiple auditions after that, or was it really just that one audition and then you were?
Well, so that was the first one, and then
Usually with these shows, there's audition for casting, audition for then the producers, then the creator, then the network itself, right?
That's exactly what happened. 6 weeks later, I had a call back with the producers, and then 6 weeks after that was the network test.
What was the network test like? I always wonder what those are like. Producers and casting seems kind of like it could be for the, not always, but kind of an intimate experience. Those are the people who are actually working on creating the show.
Yeah.
And the network seems like it'd be a lot of people like, like on their phones.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly like that. It's nerve-wracking. It's like a much bigger room. There's probably 20 people in the room as opposed to like 4 or 5 before. And they don't make any sound. They don't laugh. They don't like let you know that they're humans at all. They just kind of sit there, and then at the end, you leave.
Do you feel the need to sort of sell them on yourself outside of just the audition when you walk in? Like,
I didn't.
Good for you.
No small talk, nothing. Yeah. Like I mean, you read the room and they're like, "This is Joy," and I said hi, and nobody really
they go, hey.
cared. Yeah, and then I was like, "Oh, okay, we're starting." Yeah.
Good for you. I don't like when people make small talk when it's not warranted.
Yeah.
And I think they probably appreciated that too.
I mean, I don't know. I hope so.
So now you get cast in the show, and had Julian and Margulies already been casted? Did you know that you were going to be working with her?
No, I was the first one, which was really unusual too. Yeah, but then they were like, by the way, she's going to be your boss. And I was like melting, like, oh my God.
She's a national treasure.
Royalty, yeah, there's
exactly.
nobody like her.
She is royalty. And the other thing about her being royalty, she's also really cool as a human being.
Yeah. The stories she'd tell about, she's like, yeah, you know, George Clooney, he'd have his lines on the gurney on ER, and he'd just read them as he was like,
she didn't tell me that story. That's a great story.
That's not top secret.
How much acting had you done prior to Dietland? Like, how much had you done?
A lot. Not that anybody cared about it. I mean,
I care. I asked that question because and I told you this in the green room, you're so effing good on this show that, you know, having not known anything that you had done prior to that, I was kind of surprised because you're so good.
That's so kind of you. Thank you so much. That really means a lot.
I normally kiss people's butt on the stage, but not that much. I'll just let you know.
I appreciate it. It doesn't go unwarranted or unnoticed.
Unwarranted.
No,
That's a good slip. I like that.
But yeah, I've been acting for like 17 years. I've been in LA working at it, but mostly doing theater. I had a solo show for about 10 years. But I mean, there weren't really any roles like this. Like, this is a new thing that people are writing like important, juicy, complicated, complex roles for fat people. And I thought that the only way I was going to get to play those was if I was writing it myself. So I was playing to an audience of like 20 people, but I was doing what I cared about. And then...
Would you say this is a new thing, or like it's a new thing that people are doing? Because I would still say that this is kind of the only thing right now that is doing this.
I mean, This Is Us, Chrissy Metz,
fair.
Rebel Wilson, Cameron Manheim has been around forever.
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy. I'm not the only fat actress, but it's a rarity that there's like this complex role. Like I said, yeah.
Now, one of the things that is pretty wild about this show is that it dives into the surreal a fair amount. Like at times, it almost reminds me of like Natural Born Killers. In like I was thinking about a very recent episode, not as violent, but a very recent episode, which I think is airing tonight, where all of a sudden we're in the midst of a sitcom. And like, there's this whole section of Natural Born Killers where they're in a sitcom, and then there's also animation in this and somewhat hallucinogenic, and it's similar to that as well. And it's taking all of these different mediums and trying to create how we perceive the world and how affected we are by media representation of the world and how it filters into our daily lives.
That's so deep. I think that's spot on. Wow. Yeah.
But that's what and I think sometimes it can be hard to understand until you finally get wrapped up in it, and then you get exactly why it's surreal and where it's coming from.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
What is it like when you're looking at these scripts? Did you get it right away? Did you understand exactly where Marty Noxon was coming from?
Exactly. We have the same brain. I always kind of do the same thing. I feel like I just play it like it's real, because I think from Plum's point of view, it is. Even when there's a tiger sitting around, it's not like she's suddenly in a new place. It's how I would act if my tiger came to life. I don't know.
I would say also, I know that you're incredibly open discussing your size and you made your fat rant a long time ago on
Yeah.
YouTube. In the most recent, in an episode I think that airs tonight, you are essentially nude in a scene. Were you expecting that when they told you to do that? Did that take some time to wrap your head around doing that on camera? Had you done it before?
I had not done it before, I don't think. No, I haven't. I don't think. I don't know why that took so long to...
No, that's fair. If you've been on camera for or been doing stuff for 12 or 13 years, there may have been an internet video or a video with a friend where you're like, sure, I'll do that. And now you're like, oh, wait, is there
There's
nudity?
definitely...
Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
We just found it. We just went into the deep recesses of your head and found your nude video.
Yeah, kind of. It wasn't nude. I was in a music video that was very well received, I'll have you know.
What music video?
The Big Bad Wolf, Duck Sauce.
Oh.
We were nominated for a VMA for Best Director. Anyway,
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. It's really something. You should look it up.
So will all of our viewers right now.
You're welcome. But I feel like the point of this, like the point of being on television is to show somebody my size. I want to show all of it. Like, this is it. So, and there's nothing wrong with it. I belong here too. And I relish each opportunity I have to be all of me on camera.
So there's no shyness about it. It's exciting. You're excited to do this. Because
Yeah.
Culturally there is no other avenue for something like this.
I worked as a fit model for 10 years, which is basically just being a live mannequin, not for print or anything. And lots of it was so I'd be in an audition, in a fit interview where they're deciding if they want to hire me, and somebody would say something like, well, she has a belly, so that's good. And then they'd hire me for my belly. And I'm getting paid $125 an hour to stand there. So I can't hate my body because it got me this job. And then, being a fit model, you're required to maintain the same measurements. So I wasn't dieting a whole bunch. This is my moneymaker. Whether I love it or not, it's what I'm using to accomplish my goals. And it really, it kind of divorced who I am from what I look like, I guess. I don't know if that's good or not, but that's what happened.
I think it's great. I think it's great. Your scenes with Julian and Margulies, her character is in many ways, for at least from what I understand from her, she kind of changes over the course of the season. But the first few episodes, not that I am the one to make this judgment as a straight white man, but I will say she's kind of a bad feminist, if you will. What is it like doing those scenes with her and sort of having that dialogue and really not being able to challenge her because your character doesn't challenge her for at least the episodes that I've seen?
I think that's exactly what it is. Well, at the beginning episodes, I don't know that Plum is a particularly good feminist either. Yeah. She's finding her own way, and I think her relationship with Kitty primarily is keeping your crazy boss happy, skating by, keeping a roof over your head. I think lots of people can identify with that.
Diminishing her confidence as well. Not her boss's confidence, but so much about that relationship is about making sure that your character stays less confident and in the box that is controllable.
Yeah.
But what is it like doing scenes with Julian and Margulies?
Awesome. I mean, it's interesting. I've been spending more time with her now that we're doing press for this than I did on set. And when we were on set, that was the relationship. We had conversations, but not a ton. And those scenes are pretty monologue heavy as well. So it wasn't we needed to run things for timing or anything like that.
Right. Most of your work in those scenes is kind of a look.
Reacting. Yeah.
Being the audience for that and replacing us to a certain degree and giving us the look of can you believe she's saying this right now?
Yeah. To my face. Wow.
You're doing it now. That's so great. And Marty Noxon, is coming off of Unreal. She's also got Sharp Objects coming out this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly incredibly busy, talented person. What sort of, when she signed on to this and started working on the show, what sort of conversations did she have with you about where she was going to take the character and take you as an actress?
I don't know that we really talked about that much.
Really? Just like, here's the script.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, see you at 5 a.m. Well, I mean, it's pretty laid out there in the book and in the scripts. Like, yeah, it felt really straightforward. Like there wasn't a lot that we needed to discuss or hash out. Like, I feel like we were on the same page from the get-go.
What's the most difficult part of playing this character?
I think maybe the strangest thing was the physical transformation. Because, I mean, this is the way my hair's looked since 2012, so I don't know, 6 years? So I'd ride into work with my Teamster, the driver, in the morning, looking like this, no makeup, red hair, and then I'd go through hair and makeup, and then I'd walk down the street past the same guy and say, hey, and he'd keep walking. And that happened with like 3 or 4 different people. I was unrecognizable. Yeah. And that was a real, I don't know. 'Cause, like, my experience in the world is different from Plum's. And I think it's partially the way I choose to dress and look at people in their faces and like take up space. And she doesn't. She's like all about hunkering down and getting past. Yeah, just...
You carry yourself in a way that you are very open to the world and sort of taking it all in and embracing it, and she carries herself in a way, like you said, not just necessarily hunkering down, but somewhat scared of everything around her and really trying to skate by without anybody hurting her too much.
Yeah, and with good reason. I mean, yeah.
And the makeup would make you sort of immediately look like that, and that's true. It really does on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did your Teamster ever sort of figure out that was you?
Well, yeah. I mean, then I'd get in the van at the end of the day and be like, "Hey, why didn't you wave to me?" And, what? Oh, I didn't. Like, you didn't recognize me at all. Which is
also a Teamster. I was sleeping. I don't know.
What you gonna do? I love those guys.
So you guys are done shooting the first season, right?
Yeah.
Right, and you finished shooting it a while ago, or?
At the end of March.
Wow. I can't wait to see where it goes. I'm only 4 episodes in. I can't wait to see where it goes.
I think you've seen more than I have.
I think so too, yeah.
The clip is playing, and I'm like, what happens? I've never seen this before.
Let's get some questions from audience. Who has a question?
Hi, Joy. After getting to work with Julian and Margulies, I was wondering, is there someone on your mind that you would love to work with, like whether on the show or any other project?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I want to work with everybody. Meryl Streep, why not? Let's shoot for the moon.
Everybody says Meryl Streep. Not to say that that's unoriginal, but yeah, she's kind of the best, right?
Yeah.
Is that do you have an actor or an actress that you saw that made you want to become an actor? Like or a performance where you're like, oh, that's what I want to do. For men, it's always like De Niro in The Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
But do you have one that you kind of saw and were like, oh, I really want to perform. That's what I want to do.
Growing up, my family's really conservative, and so I wasn't really raised on TV or movies. I read a lot of books, but that was kind of it. But I feel like when you say that, I'm like, Anthony Hopkins. That's the first thing I think of. Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter?
Yeah.
Sort of anybody that kind of takes the serious with a kind of comic approach, like a sort of comic pathos. Like,
yeah.
I rewatched Silence of the Lambs recently, and it's terrifying, but you forget, and it's rarely talked about, how funny Anthony Hopkins is in that movie, how comic his performance is at times. Like, he's clearly in on a joke that none of the other characters are sort of a part of.
Yeah. I really love that. And that, I mean, he brings the humanity to the part. He's not just pure monster.
Well, Margulies is kind of like this with her character in this as well. There's a joke that she as a performer gets to be in on that nobody else does, because they exist in a bit more of a realistic world than the ego of her character does. Yeah. Next question.
Hi. This is going to be an online question.
Okay.
Jeremy would like to know, do you have a favorite audiobook that you've narrated, and do you like doing audiobooks compared to acting on screen?
Ooh, that's a great question. I love them both. Acting on screen, obviously, you get to use everything in your toolbox. But I think I did a number of books with an author called Penny Reid, R-E-I-D. She's got a series there. It's kind of like romantic comedy, I guess. Beauty and the Mustache is the title of one that's one of my favorites.
It's a great title.
Yeah.
Did you like it just because of the title?
Well, and she's a really funny writer. Like, it's, yeah, I think it's a challenging thing to do, to make something that's like sexy and interesting and funny and a good story with heart. She's a really, really talented writer.
Now, I have to ask, you said you grew up fairly conservative. What was it like when you told your family that you wanted to become an actor, that you wanted to perform?
What a good question. They weren't unsupportive, but I think they were scared of the whole idea. Yeah, they've always come to every show I've ever done, but it didn't necessarily feel like support as much as it felt like surveillance. You know, like just that.
I love that.
We're keeping an eye on you. No matter what I do, my mom has two comments. One is about how much swearing I did or did not do, and how much cleavage I'm showing. Those are her two concerns, no matter what.
Any compliments?
Oh, she did. She was like, I was just thinking, none of this would be happening without me.
Really?
So I guess that's a compliment.
In what way? Like the fact that she gave birth to you?
I mean, technically, yeah. You know, she's a character. It's all fodder, grist for the mill.
Are they still Are they still conservative?
Oh yeah.
And so Dietland, I would imagine they have opinions about that. Maybe they haven't shared yet, or have shared.
We haven't talked in depth about it yet. I think they're kind of basking in, like, because it's people are liking it, and I think that they're happy about that.
And also Thanksgiving hasn't come around yet, so
Yeah.
you haven't been at the table.
Yeah.
People haven't had a couple drinks, or like just sort of gotten a little loose with their opinions yet.
Let us know how it really goes.
Yeah. I doubt anything's like that's going to happen. There's so much to be proud of in the show, and there's so much to be proud of your work. I can't imagine they could, you know.
You'd be surprised.
I'm trying to be positive.
Family's family. No. It's. I mean, and I laugh about it. It is. It's all grist for the mill.
All family is kind of like that in some ways, to a degree. A degree of like, here's a compliment, but also here's a backhanded opinion that nobody asked for, that for some reason I feel like I should tell you.
Yeah.
I have that with my family all the time, where I have to be like, hey, nobody asked for your stupid opinion, so why don't you keep it to yourself right now? What? I just thought that I would share that.
I mean, somebody's gonna say it.
No one cares what you thought. It's not about that.
It's so true.
I love the show, Joy. I love your performance on it. I look forward to watching the rest of the season. And honestly, the rest of your career, I think you're an incredible talent and wonderful to watch on screen.
Thank you so much.
Dietland is on AMC tonight, right?
Yes,
9
tonight,
o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Everybody, please give a big round of applause for the great Joy Nash.
Thanks for having me.